welcome to another segment of the Plaintiff Rests. This week we are tackling a little bit uncomfortable topic, but one that we get asked about a ton, and that is how do y'all pick what activities you feel comfortable letting your children participate in. And this week we're going to be a little bit more specific. We're going to limit it to summer camp so that we can cover it hopefully in just a few minutes, and we're going to try to help give y'all some of our best tips.
Yeah, we all want our children to have fun, active, memorable summers, but most importantly, we want them to be safe. And this is an important topic and one that you can advocate for your own children in advance and them going off to camp. And even if you're packing the bags as we speak, it's not too late to ask these important questions and to inform your kid as well about how they can say no to anything that may make them feel inappropriate or they may consider inappropriate, or just let them know and reassure them that they have no reason to keep secrets from you and that you are going to make sure that they have a line of communication to you at all times while they're away at camp. With that being said, the CDC numbers on child sex abuse are staggering and tragic. 1 in 4 girls before they reach the age of 18 is usually a victim of child sex abuse, and 1 in 13 boys. So don't be fooled by the age of an institution, the mission of an institution. In large part, most of those folks may be well-intentioned, but we know from the examples of the church and scouts and so forth that no matter the overwhelming majority of the well-intentioned folks that may participate in those, it doesn't mean that perpetrators don't find their way into these various programs and institutions and camps in order to harm children. So the most important question I would ask is, what is your child protection policy? I want to see it. And secondly, what have you done to implement it? Like, is everyone trained on it?
Yes.
And when was that training? And those are, critical threshold questions that I would want answers to before sending any kid away to camp.
Right, because if the training happened 3 years ago, but you've got a new round of counselors in and they haven't been trained and the background checks haven't been done for this new round of counselors, that's important information. And I also will say sometimes these policies on their face seem like, well, if you've got a bad egg in the mix, how is this really going to deter them? And the fact of the matter is policies do work and they do matter. If everyone is trained, not only is it going to deter a perpetrator who may be in the mix looking for an opportunity, because they're going to say, hey, this organization is paying attention and everyone around me is trained on this and the children are aware of these policies, but also if you have a 17-year-old counselor who may not know what the appropriate boundaries are, if they've been trained on it and they know, like, hey, if you see an adult walking alone in the woods with a child, that is not our policy and you need to report it to the director, then you have safeguards in place.
Well, and it equips the well-intentioned folks there, and even if they're volunteers, as to what to do and how to report if they see something that they consider to be outside or in violation of the child protection policy. And you want to just empower everyone, empower the children, empower the staff that's there well-intentioned to make sure they know what they're doing. And just don't be afraid to ask these questions.
And you can ask specific questions. You can say, if my child wants to call me, because I know a lot of camps are going to say, hey, leave your devices at home. If my child wants to contact me, can they call me in a room and can they be alone in that room so that I can speak privately to them? And then, you can talk to your child about the fact that they can call you. It should be private. And then you can ask yes or no questions from your end of the phone. Hey, are you in a room alone? Do you feel comfortable talking to me? And then you can ask the prompting questions that'll let them give you yes or no responses from their end in case they are not.
Yeah, and when you get into the policies, make sure that you're looking at them in a way that they're specific enough to inform those people working there, like what is appropriate, what are the boundaries, what's appropriate touching, what's inappropriate touching. What are the scenarios when an adult would ever be alone with a child? And hopefully the answer to that is never. There should never be a circumstance where
one adult is alone with one child.
That's right. And so, you just want to make sure your kids, before they go off to camp, you've done everything you can to advocate for them on the front side, finding out the specifics of the child protection policy. And then separately, you've talked to your own child about the fact that even scenario playing, where you can say, look, it's okay to say no. And that if you need to communicate with me, here's how you go about doing that. I've already talked to the camp. If there's ever a situation where you need to talk to me, here's where you go and here's how you do it. And you make sure the camp knows that your child and you have had these discussions and that there are
Yes.
no secrets between you and your child.
And that is one of the best things you can do, is just like make sure everyone knows you're paying attention, your child knows what's going on, and then it's kind of on everybody's radar that, hey, there are parents that are paying attention. We need to make sure these policies are being put into place. The last point I would make is that I think people sometimes make the mistake of thinking that this is isolated to preteens and teenagers and that this is an older child issue, and unfortunately it just is not. If you are dropping your 7-year-old off at camp, this is a conversation you need to be having with the camp and in an age-appropriate way with your child.
Yeah, and if you get any sense that the camp director or whoever you're communicating with is reluctant to answer the questions that you're asking, consider that to be a red flag, because we know that because of the prevalence of child sex abuse, that any institution that has a mission to do things the right way will appreciate the fact that you're asking these questions and be ready and willing to answer all of them to your satisfaction.
Yeah. With that, guys, we hope you'll have a healthy and happy and safe summer.
Yeah, the plaintiff rests.
Bye, guys.
Take care, y'all.